Hey everybody, great to see all of you. Not really, but you know what I mean. Today we are recording the final episode for Dollars and Cents as a part of our mini series of Kaz's Corner. I'm your host, Adam Kazanik, managing partner with Convergent Financial Partners. Thanks for sticking with me on all of these episodes. If you haven't watched all the other videos in Dollars and Cents, please go check them out. This today is going to be the wrap-up video and what we like to call putting it all together. What should your financial plan look like, feel like, smell like for you? How do you get started? How do you get involved with somebody like me or an advisor of your choosing? So I'm going to reference a few other videos and pieces of content that we've put out in the past, but we're going to try to wrap everything up in a nice little cute bow for everybody. So kicking things off, first thing you want to do as you're thinking about any financial plans is, what are your goals? Let's define them as specifically as possible. And then in conjunction with those goals, what are some ways that you're going to measure progress along the way? So when it comes to any financial plan or strategy, I usually am thinking and discussing them with friends, family, clients, whatever the context is, in 1 and 5 year timeframes. So start with the easy one. In 5 years from now, make a list of financial goals that you would deem to be a success if they occurred. It could be starting a business and you want to get that business revenue to X in 5 years from now. It could be you are graduating from college or you're thinking about college and going there. And 5 years from now, what job, what role, what career do you want to be in? You may not be able to have an idea of like what you're going to be making, but maybe what role are you going to be in that career, that industry, the position, what's your dream kind of scenario? So it could be a savings goal. It could be a getting out of debt goal. It could be a starting your investment account goal. It could be catching up or starting that retirement planning goal. So give yourself a list of priorities that you're going to put a 5 year time horizon on, right? No real pressure, but 5 years is a good amount of time to really think about it. And from that list, take out maybe 1, 2, I would say max 3 of those goals and create a metric for them that you will look at 12 months from now. So if it's a savings goal and in 5 years you want X number of dollars in savings, investments, everything else, then give yourself a 1 year sort of temporary goal to say, okay, how much should I have after 1 year from now? Because then that's going to give you the clarity to be able to say, all right, 1 year from now, 12 months from now, how much do I want in savings? Okay, take that goal divided by 12. Now you know how much you need to be putting into savings every month and make it a digestible goal, right? A something that you can attain, that you can work on, that you can stay consistent with. That really is, like many other things, so crucial in achieving your goals. Just like whether it's a fitness goal or a health goal, consistency, discipline is going to be key. So think about your financial goals that you have 5 years from now. If you got a partner, spouse, whatever it may be, discuss it with them. See what goals they and you have that are the same. Also, see what goals maybe are a little bit different, that maybe you have that they don't, or they have that you don't, and vice versa, because you want to make sure that you're somewhat in a line. If you're going to be sharing expenses and deciding where income and savings are going to, you want to make sure that, if possible, they're going to as much overlapping goals as possible. Because then that way you can hold each other accountable and work towards those. So that's going to be the first thing, is goals and progress and figuring out the best way that you are going to hold yourself accountable, as well as also be able to monitor your progress towards those goals. The next lesson that you would want to be comfortable in sort of exploring with yourself is going to be adjustments to your budget and to your strategies over time. Because regardless of whether you are gaining success towards your goals, whether it's earning more income every year or every couple of years, or if it's amassing and accumulating assets and investments over time too, you're going to have some changes in your strategy. I'll give you an example. as you start earning more income and crossing over certain income thresholds, particularly from a tax bracket standpoint, those will then require, I shouldn't say require, those will incentivize you to get more creative with your tax planning. What most people don't realize is some of the jumps from going from the 10% to the 12% tax bracket. Okay, 2% may not be all that much, but the next tax bracket jumps 10% from 12 to 22%. There's a big difference in 10% taxes. If I was going to all of a sudden say, hey, you got 10% more tax or 10% more fees that you got to pay for me, you'd probably be paying attention. So that jump that most people kind of disregard is a pretty massive one. So finding strategies to maybe mitigate the amount of taxes that you're paying. Remember, tax evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance is 100% legal. So if we can find ways to avoid you incurring the taxes in the first place, you don't then have to evade paying them, right? We don't want to evade paying taxes. So strategies and budgets and changes and figuring out, okay, if you were to lose your job, where a lot of people right now, as I'm sure you've seen on social media, are losing their jobs for different reasons, you want to have an emergency fund. If that happens to you and you have cash flow to be able to continue paying your bills. You may not live as lavish of a lifestyle. Maybe you're not going out to dinner with your friends and everything else too, but chances are you probably let them know that you lost your job and you're in that type of thing. They're not going to hold it against you, but you want to make sure you're still paying your rent, still paying your mortgage, still got your car, the ability to get to that next job interview, paying the internet bill so you can get on that Zoom call and do that interview for that next job. So there's certain fundamental things that we need to keep going to get the lights on. So you want to have that contingency fund. Check out a previous video about that too, with setting up emergency fund, how much you should have, a function of your income, a function of your goals. But you want to be ready to make those adjustments and those strategy adjustments for better or for worse, depending on what's going on. The next piece of it is, again, another short that we put out there, piece of content of when and how to engage with someone like myself, right? Doesn't have to be me. You want to find somebody that has a similar thought process to you in terms of how you think about money. You want to understand what their investment philosophy is for that advisor. I think about investing maybe totally different than the next person down the road. I also incorporate insurance. Maybe the next advisor down the road doesn't do any insurances. So again, you want to have an understanding of what kind of professional are you looking for. Can that professional fill any gaps in terms of your knowledge or your interests? Because you may also be a semi-DIYer. You may want to do certain aspects of your financial planning yourself. You may want to go and pick those ETFs and those Vanguard funds or American funds or whatever it may be on your own, but maybe you need help on the insurance side. Maybe you need help on the overall tax strategy side. Maybe you need help in my area of expertise, which is retirement income planning, right? When you get to that sort of quote finish line for your career and it's now time to distribute those assets out to you in a tax efficient way, as well as also utilizing the market to your advantage, because you can do that. It's not like you are done investing when you retire. That's what a lot of people come to me for, is they want a specifically designed retirement income solution for them, based off of their personality, based off of their unique combination of assets that they've accumulated over the previous years, decades. So those are going to be important things for you to consider, is what kind of advisor are you looking for? What cost structure are you okay interacting with them? Are they a assets under management, charging you a percentage of how much money they're managing? Are they a insurance agent who's going to be paid a commission based off of the premium that you purchase, but you need the insurance and you want somebody who's really diligent in finding you the proper amount of insurance for yourself? Do you want a retirement planner? Do you want a comprehensive financial planner? Whatever you need or feel like you need, you want to do a little bit of that homework. So check out that other piece of content about what questions you should ask yourself before you go and engage with a financial professional, as well as also what questions should you be asking that financial advisor when you go and meet with them to make sure you're finding that best match for you and your household. So those are the few kind of things that you would want to think about in terms of pulling all of these aspects together to figure out what is your game plan. I won't use financial plan because that's a specific term, but what's your financial game plan for moving forward? How does your 1 year and your 5 year goals look? Do they match up with your partner, business partner, match up with your domestic partner or spouse? Are you in alignment? Is the time horizon in alignment, right? I talked to plenty of people who are talking about retirement, and one spouse wants to retire yesterday, and the other spouse says, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. I really like what I do, and I'm continue earning. Those are distinctly different plans from the financial planning standpoint, because I am thinking about, what are the tax implications? Are you going to be earning income? What is that? How does that affect your Medicare premiums down the road? All of these aspects intertwine. And then, of course, we're always playing an ever-changing game of what happens in Washington, what new tax law changes occur, what gets extended, what gets sunsetted. All of these things are going to ever-changing the game, slightly. But what we can do to try to make it better for us, so we don't pull our hair out, is have our game plan set in digestible bites. 1 year, 5 year, anything beyond that is sort of a little bit hypothetical. We do want to have some things in place there too, but really things that you're going to be pulling levers on and adjusting is going to be from a 1 to 5 year time frame. So make sure you check out the other videos and brush up on some of the other topics, but really pulling together your plan is going to incorporate all of these different areas. Cash flow management, money coming into your household, where is it going out to keep the lights on, things running? What is your savings and investment plan of those extra dollars, making sure that you're putting a proper amount of those earned dollars away for future use or for safety purposes. Again, your risk management. We want to make sure of, are you utilizing the benefits that you have from your employer to their maximum benefit? Why not, right? You're giving it to them, you're paying for them, you got those premiums coming out of your paycheck. Let's get the maximum benefit for you out of them. Are we having a proper investment strategy for you? When you're putting money to work, is it going into investments that make sense for you? The right risk, the right return potential, the right tax diversification and impact for your situation. All of these are going to come into that sort of investment strategy in conjunction with tax strategy. Are you in a scenario where you're jumping and getting into a higher tax bracket? Are you going from 12 to 22? Are you going from 22 to 24? Where are you in the tax bracket strategy spectrum? And what aspects of tax mitigation can be looked at for your situation? Retirement planning is the other piece of it too. How far away from retirement? Now, this may be a good pause too. My definition of retirement for most people is when you wake up in the morning, you determine how you're going to spend your day. You're not relying on a paycheck and a job and a task in order to generate that paycheck. Now, you could be retired and still working and have, employment or work part-time, but you're in control over that. You've amassed enough assets or income from other sources that you don't have to, but you may want to. That's, in my mind, retirement. I don't see myself ever not doing anything. It just may not be contributing to you, here. I may be talking about something different 5 years, 10 years down the road, but I hope you're still with me and hanging out in Cass's Corner. Estate planning is the other piece of it too, right? We do want to make sure that we don't live our entire lives and do a great job investing in savings and getting all of these assets under our name for our loved ones. And then when we pass away, a chunk of that goes to taxes. A chunk of that goes to Uncle Sam. A chunk of that goes to the court system, going through probate or additional costs that you really didn't have to incur, your estate didn't have to incur with some proper planning up front. So these are really the core areas that you really would want to focus on is today, short-term in the future, long-term in the future, and then after, when we all know we won't be here forever. So we want to make sure that we're putting those plans in place and steps in place too. So hopefully this is a good sort of rounding out of all of the different series that we've had, incorporating all of the different nuances and episodes that hopefully you listened to before and how you can all piece it together. But I believe a conversation with an advisor, a financial professional of some sort that can have a comprehensive overview of your situation so you can get an understanding of where are you at relative to your goals, where are you at relative to a current tax environment, where you're at relative to the current market and investment, and how engaged or unengaged you want to be in that aspect of investing. All of these components create an opportunity for someone like myself in my industry to provide better value to you. That's why I'm here today. That's why I started this channel. That's why I'm continuing to do these videos, is I want to make sure that because of the lack of education we're getting from other sources, we all are living in the same type of environment of our tax system, our income situation, our investment and stock market situation. We all have these items at our disposal. Let's make it an arrow in our quiver for our benefit and not something that we're fearful of and we don't utilize and we miss out on that benefit. So that's my goal for you today. That's my goal for you every day that you come and visit with me. Thank you for coming to Kaz's Corner. We'll see you on the next series.